Can I ask you a question? Why'd you get vaccinated?
Because I am pregnant and we wanted to protect our baby boy.
To keep my family members healthy and traveling the world.
Why did you get vaccinated?
I believe in the science.
I want a happy, healthy world.
Protect my friends and help our community.
Be able to hug my mom again. Haven't been able to hug her in over a year.
I want to hug my grandma again.
This was a dose of hope.
And I'm ready to get back to somewhat normal.
Get the vaccine.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, and I am joined by quite a group today. I have already been told and forewarned that they are animated and ready to go, so we are going to be in that spirit going. Joining us for the first time is attorney Leon Weiss. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Saeed. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you for organizing the Oak Park High School reunion show. The majority of the players here today being graduates of that esteemed institution. Of course, Mr. Allan Lengel, who's one of the greatest news writers of the Washington Post, Detroit News, and the #1 political consultant, organizer, commentator, campaign manager in Michigan political history, Dr. Adolph Mongo. And then yours truly, a broken down old trial lawyer. 3 graduates of Oak Park High School, so thanks for the reunion.
Glad to have been of help. I didn't even realize that, but okay. So, as Leon mentioned, we're joined also by fellow Oak Park alum, 9:10 a.m. radio host Adolph Mongo. Great to have you back, Adolph.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
And because you can't go anywhere with just one attorney these days, we actually are packing heat. We've got attorney Mike Rataj joining us as well.
Good morning.
Excellent.
Good morning.
And then, of course, also our own Deadline Detroit staff. We've got Nancy Derringer.
Hey.
And editor-in-chief Allan Lengel.
All right. Can I say one quick thing? I think there's a little bit of background noise coming from Mike.
Just texted you about this. I believe it's Leon.
No, I checked on Leon.
It isn't. Okay. Well,
I think I'm gonna see. It's coming. It's coming from.
It's coming from Mike.
It's coming from Rataj.
Okay.
Coming from me. Yeah. Maybe one of your windows is open on your computer or something, or.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah,
okay.
That sounds a little bit better.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's dive right into this. So, our Ukraine update for the week. It looks like Russia test fired a new intercontinental ballistic missile, and it looks from the footage that Mariupol has been powdered. Scenes not really witnessed since Hiroshima as far as the level of devastation. Where is the war going this week as we approach week number 9? Anyone?
Well, I think we're just seeing more of the mess. I mean, they're going into eastern Ukraine right now. I mean, the U.S. is just pouring in more heavy artillery. I mean, it's just it's a bloody war. But I mean, look, with the artillery that the U.S. is sending in, it seems like the Ukrainians can hold their own, and at least at this point. I mean, they're being their nation is being decimated. The infrastructure is being decimated, but I think they're putting up a hell of a fight.
Well, this reminds me of you read about the Spanish Civil War, where everybody, all the great powers, had a hand in sending weapons, sending people, and this is what they're doing in the Ukraine. They turned it into a disaster area, and so the U.S. and the Western powers, this is their way of getting back at Russia. Russia has done what they said it was going to do. It has destabilized the country, and they're going to just cut it up piece by piece. And we sitting here, you giving them weapons. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. At the end, it'll be a Russian state again, regardless.
I thought what was interesting is President Biden said that Putin will not succeed in taking over all of Ukraine. That seemed a little bit nebulous, as though he's conceding or even almost signaling to Putin that if you take the east, if you take Donbass and Luhansk, and if you take the south, essentially then making Ukraine landlocked, that's an acceptable red line?
Well, I just wanted to say this. I have a personal, as we all do, anybody who cares about humanity, I have a personal stake in this. My two grandmothers of blessed memory were both born in Odessa. And, you know, they grew up there until they came to America. Connection with that area. I heard a retired general say, look,
Looks like we're having technical difficulties.
All right.
A little bit of issues with Leon. Nancy, what do you think about this?
Brain freeze.
I every week we talk about this, and I don't have anything really warm or hopeful to offer at this point. I think it's essentially becoming a proxy war. I think what Adolph said was right. And, ask the Yemenis what happens to the people in a proxy war. I mean, in the country where it's being fought. I mean, this is between the West and Russia. The battleground just happens to be Ukraine. And as you said at the top, it's like their main port city is now powdered. And I don't know how you really come back from that. I mean, Chechnya hasn't come back from being the last place that the Russians decided to play Bigfoot. I mean, I don't know what shape Grozny is like these days, but I don't think it's very good. So it's just, I really don't know what the solution is. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't be talking on this show. I'd be working in the frickin' State Department. So,
Well, I mean, saying that this is similar, as Adolph said, to the Spanish Civil War doesn't create an awful lot of optimism, because the Spanish Civil War was a precursor to World War II.
Yeah, it was.
So if that's sort of the linear progression of things, then I think we might want to start selling our stock short, just to see what we can get out of it. Mike, what do you think about what's going on in Ukraine this week?
Well, they got to fight back. I mean, they got to fight back, and the United States has got to help, as does NATO. They can't just let Russia just go in there and just, and keep killing all these people. Okay. So, I mean, I'm sort of the counter to where Adolph is. They just can't lie down and let Putin do what he's doing. Right. They got to fight back.
Yeah, I think I'm back. I lost you all for a minute. I just wanted to say that this retired general said, look, everybody's so worried about angering Putin that maybe he would introduce nuclear options into this fight. And I think that he said it's nonsense. He's not going to do that. He's a narcissistic megalomaniac, would-be Hitler. But the one thing he cares about is his own behind. He's not going. The only thing he understands is strength. So this general said, I would like to see us authorize some NATO airstrikes and take out these convoys. And with that type of strength, he'll go to the negotiating table. And if Ukraine agrees, all right, we won't even talk about joining NATO for 5 years. You can have control over the Donbass region. There's a way to negotiate this. But you can't let this wholesale destruction of the country and of civilian lives go on. I don't agree that the way we've been doing it is enough.
So what do you think, Leon? Why do you think he hasn't come to the negotiation table yet? And by the way, there have been negotiations in places like Anatolia, Turkey, that are being mediated by Turkey between the Ukrainians and the Russians, going back to the last 5 weeks now. It seems as though either Putin keeps moving the goalposts about what he considers to be a mission accomplished and a mission won. But the fact that if the U.S. or any of the Western powers initiate further escalation, that somehow the other is going to bring him to the table?
Yeah, negotiating with him is like saying to Hitler, don't put those people on the train and send them away. This man is, believe me, if he had his way, he would build concentration camps. It's just that there's too much knowledge today with the technology. You can't do things in secret like that. But yes, I think that strength is all he understands, and I think we need to do more. And yes, I think it would result in him finally standing down.
Well, it hasn't deterred him from creating very large mass graves. Nancy, did you have your hand up?
No, I did not.
Okay, very good.
The one thing that we've learned is that the Russian army is inept. And Adolph and I were in the Marine Corps, and we were taught, about at least I was, in the infantry, is that, when you kill a Russian officer, basically the troops have no idea what to do. Where in the Marine Corps, we all know each other's jobs, and maybe not so much. In terms of knowing what the officers know, but there's a chain of command, and we all, if a sergeant gets killed, then the corporal takes over. If a corporal gets killed, a lance corporal takes over. If a lance corporal gets killed, a private takes over. In the Russian army, it's completely different. Once you kill an officer or you kill an NCO, they basically fall to pieces. They have no idea what to do. And, I think you've seen that, and that's why this is now becoming a long-range war. The Russian infantry is not engaging anymore.
And
go ahead, Adolph.
I was going to say is that the world has now got a real glimpse of the military under Putin, and they're not the big bad guy anymore. It's like they got chinks in their armor. Listen, people are not scared of the Russians like they were in the 50s and the 60s, because they instill fear into Yugoslavia, Hungary, all these Eastern Bloc countries, because they went and invaded them when they got out of hand. Now nobody is scared of them because the little ragtag army from the Ukraine is kicking their behinds.
That's right.
There's no question.
Exactly right, Adolph, and that's why they've had to resort to cowardly warfare, just firing in missiles to civilian targets, because their troops on the ground are getting their ass kicked. You're 100% right.
Can I just be the person with double X chromosomes here to say, I think when you call them inept, it makes them sound like they're stupid or dumb. I want to at least call them out for the psychopathic behavior that they have shown in treating civilians. I'm talking about rape. I'm talking about torture, stealing bullshit consumer items from these apartments that they're looting. I mean, this is like the lowest form of behavior. And so just, to call them inept, I think lets them off the hook a little bit. These guys are psychopaths.
But that's what armies do.
And a psychopath.
Listen, Nancy, that's what armies do. The U.S. Army undone it. All armies they go in, they loot, they rape, they do whatever they want to do. And you know what? That's war. So now the Russians are recruiting African troops. They're in Ethiopia, they're in the Congo, and they recruit mercenaries because they don't have the kind of people to go that got the stomach to go fight the Ukrainians. Now they're gonna get foreign.
Would the Marines on the panel like to answer to that?
read about, don't you? I'm a student of the Civil War. What do you think Sherman's army did when he marched to the South?
Same stuff.
Exact same thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Once, Nancy, you talk about rape and stealing. I mean, once you start killing, everything else is just, not that hard. The bar,
I don't know. I mean,
you start with the bar this high, and then everything else is.
The Nazis stole good gold fillings out of the teeth of their.
Listen,
you dehumanize people. You can treat them like animals. And that's just the way it goes.
During the 43 race riots in Detroit, the Michigan State Police went and kicked doors down in the black neighborhoods and took their property. So it's not just overseas or Civil War. The police did it here.
Right.
I want to say one thing about this, because based on what Nancy was saying. I mean, what I think is really new in this is the really disturbing text between soldiers and their spouses, where the spouses are saying, "Yeah, go ahead and rape. It's actually virtuous." So
Yeah,
I think
wear a
that's a different
condom.
dimension.
Yeah, so you don't
Yeah,
bring home
so-
a Ukrainian social disease to your sweetheart.
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly the Dear John correspondence that we're used to seeing elsewhere. But there's another proxy war going on, and it's a little bit closer to home, and that's in Florida. It seems like Governor DeSantis has decided to declare war on the mouse. The Florida legislature, both houses, and going to be signed by Governor DeSantis at his behest, this piece of legislation, removes special status for the Walt Disney Company, which essentially allowed it to be a fiefdom unto itself in Central Florida when it came to using its tax liability on fixing the roads itself, having its own security service, etc., raising the price on a ticket now to over $100 a day to spend in the happiest place on earth. This seems to be in reaction to Disney's position on the so-called Don't Say Gay bill, which was enacted in Florida, again at DeSantis's behest. Is this going to be the trend that we see when it comes to the GOP on a broader national level? How is it going to affect the elections? And is there going to be some clapback from some kids who are going to be definitely affected by this?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. This is the new Republican Party. And this is, if you want to know why they are all like kissing up to people like Viktor Orban, this is how Viktor Orban consolidated power in Hungary, by using the government to punish private entities, journalism, businesses that wouldn't, fall in line behind him. And the Republicans are fine with this. And, it's kind of an exercise in futility to point out for the millionth time some hypocrisy in what they claim to believe and what they actually do. But if this isn't one of the biggest, I don't know what is. I mean, whatever happened to, let's let the invisible hand of the marketplace take care of these things. They don't believe that shit anymore. So there we go.
Well, I happen to live in Florida for 11 years. I have a little bit of knowledge of the makeup of the people down there. Now, this type of law is really part of a chain of history. Michael's a student of the Civil War. I'm a history fanatic myself. And DeSantis could easily have been in power back in the post-Civil War era, the Jim Crow era. The laws then, of course, were designed to hold down any gains that the holding together the Union that the Civil War victory brought, and make sure that that the African Americans and the newly freed, in quotes, people didn't get too many rights. Now they're just going after LGBTQ, and they're telling people in school. I mean, this is a law that says you can't even teach our kids about true and honest racial history in America. Don't mention the fact that there's gay people, trans people. I mean, this is such a law. This could have been written up after the Munich meeting in '33 in Germany. That's how bad it is. And, Disney, I don't think would have done anything except there was an uproar among their employees. And, they're a big enough company that, the restrictions that they're going to try to put into effect against some of these special privileges they have. We all know that, Michael, that their lawyers are going to litigate that anyway.
That's right.
And you know what? It's just going to harm Florida citizens, because it may be that the communities that surround Disney World, if it's held that these privileges that Disney has are going to be restricted or ended, the local communities are going to have to pick up some of the services that Disney has done and paid for themselves, and so it's just going to hurt citizens. And Florida is very repressive, and DeSantis is one of the worst people I've seen in America in decades.
Allan,
I was going to say, well, the thing in Florida is what's happening is that because DeSantis is this rising star in the Republican Party, so many people are moving down there. People from Michigan, people from the Midwest, New York. More and more people are coming down there because they love DeSantis. He's a hero, and it's becoming more. We're going to see Florida become more and more red. Instead, I thought there was a balance where it was going to head more blue, but we're going to see it get redder and redder.
But Mike, what about this idea of the GOP represented by DeSantis appearing hostile toward big business. I mean, is this going to play out nationally?
Well, we can only hope, right? I mean, how else do you answer it? We can only hope. I mean, this guy's a disgrace, okay? And the people that follow him are a disgrace. I agree with Rob Reiner. A vote for a Republican is a vote against democracy, and that's what this comes down to.
So now, word comes out, Adolph, that the governor of Colorado is actually actively supporting Disney to move there to higher ground. I mean, do you think that this is going to create an exodus among companies?
Well, they what they got to do, the Disney and Major League Baseball, pro football, etc. What they did to Arizona. When Meacham was the governor, when he told the people of Arizona, fuck Martin Luther King and his birthday, and what happened? They took the Super Bowl, they took conventions, they put an embargo on the state of Arizona, and the people threw the governor out. You're gonna have to hit them in their pocketbook. Now DeSantis is talking about redistricting black representation out of Florida, period. They gave him the power. He does not want anybody black in Congress that represents the state of Florida. So they're going to have to declare war on him. And listen, years ago, Battle Creek Township and Battle Creek was fighting each other. Battle Creek Township had all the money. Kellogg said, we're moving out if y'all don't consolidate. Guess what? 6 months later, it became one. This is what Disney got to do. Okay, you don't want us here? We'll just pack up and move. We'll kill Orlando. We'll kill all these communities around there. What, 60,000 people working? We'll take our shit and move it and move away. You're gonna have to call their bluffs. And this is what's happening with the Democrats and the Republicans. Republicans are throwing everything on the table. They throwing shit on the wall. They hope it stick. And the Democrats sit there like a deer in headlights. Most of them are not doing anything. So I would call they bluff. Go ahead, let's move out. We can go someplace else. We'll go to Colorado. Shit. Why not?
That's basically what's happened here in Michigan with people moving away because they don't want to deal with unions. They don't want to deal with the state. They just are getting these sweetheart deals in the South. So I suppose the arrow can move in another direction. Well, of course, the most famous resident in Florida right now maybe isn't the mouse. Some might say it's the rat. It's Donald J. Trump himself. There's a second for you. And he had what he thought was going to be a fairly friendly interview with a former, I guess, subcontractor who had appeared on his show, The Apprentice. And Allan, we've got video.
I'll be completely straight with you to your face. I think I'm a very honest man, much more honest than you, actually. Really? Yeah. It was a free and fair match. You lost. Only a fool would think that. You think I'm a fool? I do now. With excuse me. Okay. With respect, the legislature, the hard evidence. Excuse me. The most explosive interview of the year. I don't think you're real. I'm not like very dishonest. Let's finish up the interview. Morgan versus Trump. Turn the camera up. Very dishonest. Oh.
So, Piers Morgan, blowhard from Britain, who was fired from ITV or claims he walked out because he was canceled, now has new life breathed into him thanks to the Murdoch family with a new show on Fox, which is going to be syndicated in many countries, including Murdoch's home country of Australia. Well, what better than to bag the elephant himself, Donald Trump, in a major interview, thinking this is going to be also friendly grounds. But as you can see, things got heated with Piers Morgan changing different shades of red there, and it seemed as though the wattage on the lights must have been a bit too much for him, perspiring. And of course, Trump decided to be his usual petulant and walk out when he was pressed by Morgan saying, "You lost the 2020 election." Is this just a case of Schadenfreude, or is this just simply reminding us what Trump is really like?
More bullshit. More.
All I can say is, I mean, I'm not going to watch this. This is going to run on cable. I don't have cable anymore. I've said this a million times on the show. But if there was ever a pairing where I wish both of them would clutch their chests simultaneously and fall to the ground dead. It's the
Yes.
I mean, Piers Morgan. If Donald Trump is number one, Piers Morgan is number two in blowhardy jerk-offishness. So that's my
you're gonna leave Tucker Carlson out of this? You're gonna leave Tucker Carlson out of it, Nancy?
Oh no, I'm not leaving Tucker Carlson out. He's maybe number three. Actually, depending on my mood, I'm just gonna put Tucker and Piers in they just have to fight it out for second place. They might be tied.
Well, Nancy, you're clearly not Trinitarian enough. Otherwise, you could have just included them all in one nice equilateral triangle. So, Leon, you gave an amen shout out to Nancy. How do you feel about this? Leon?
First of all, Piers Morgan is, to journalism, what Mickey Mouse is to, real animals. The guy has always been a phony. And, he got by on personality, and I don't respect him as a journalist. So, he's looking for a couple of minutes of play, which he's getting. And the other man, I've made my feelings clear over the years. This 350-pound unindicted felon has done great damage to what's left of our democracy. So I don't really want to give it more play than it deserves. Trump wouldn't know the truth if it crawled into his bed at night and bit him on the nutsack. And Piers Morgan doesn't care about the truth. He cares about Piers Morgan and getting his airtime. So,
well, Leon, I thought the SAT analogy attempt was the real crux of your statement, but that might have just topped that. Mike, where do you see this going with brand Trump? I mean, he's been suffering some defeats as far as candidates that he's been endorsing around the country. He's trying, it seems, to create a bit of a parachute as to why he might not run in 2024 by invoking health and getting one of those convenient doctor's notes saying you really shouldn't run. Do you see that this is going to be him taking the foot off the gas pedal a little bit for 24?
I have no idea what this asshole. Okay, I'm with Nancy. Why does he so many stuff about 9,000 more cheeseburgers in him so he can drop that? Okay.
Don't hold back, Mike. Don't hold back.
That's where I'm at. Okay.
That might be that collaboration between Dante and Jimmy Buffett at Cheeseburgers in Inferno.
He's a phony. Okay. I mean, he's not as rich as he says he is. He's not as smart as he says he is, and he's a phony. And he's a coward on top of everything else. He's a first-class coward. Okay. Period. Okay.
He comes from a family of cowards. His grandfather died the draft in Germany. His father was a Ku Klux Klan pro-Nazi bastard. Listen, he turned on his own niece and brother and everybody else. He's a piece of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're being too kind, Adolph. He's a piece of shit, is what he is.
He may well be, but I mean, it seems as though that toxicity is now permeating through the Republican Party at all levels. And here in Michigan, of course, we had the situation of state rep or a candidate, Lana Teese, sending out some literature against her opponent, Mallory McMorrow.
I love her.
Of grooming and being a pedophile because of the Democratic platform when it comes to LGBTQ issues and several other social issues. Marilyn McMorrow gave quite an impression.
Mallory
McMorrow gave quite too much alliteration this early, Nancy. Gave a very impassioned speech. Allan, do we have a clip?
You know what? We don't.
Okay, that's okay. But if you want, the clip is available and has been getting national recognition. Of course, with a lot of pundits now saying that McMorrow should have a national run.
It's about time. It's about time that the Democrats stand up to these assholes. It's about time that when they talk about critical race theory, gay and all this, Democrats shut up. Listen, somebody got to fight back and kick these people in their ass. right now. Kick them in the ass, kick that bitch in her ass all the way back to who she represents. That's what you gotta do. You gotta stand up to them and fight them. And if you don't do that, this whole state is gonna go down the drain because we too scared to say, oh, we too scared to say that they doing wrong. That's why we gotta call out people like James Craig and John James, because they do more harm to the black community than the perpetrators out there that go and rob a gas station. Because they do it legally.
So
you know,
then where's the leadership? Where's the state Democratic leadership? Where's the national
dead? It's dead.
Mike?
James Carville had said it the best when I was watching MSNBC the other night, and he said that this should be an instructional video for all the Democrats throughout the country. What she did, okay, and the Democrats are a bunch of goddamn pussies. Okay, they're not afraid. They have no backbone. Okay, I mean, we need to fight back. Otherwise, we're going to end up like a Hungary.
Okay. They need to dump the ticket. They need to dump the current Grandpa Joe and the vice president. And in 24, they need a whole new team. At this point, they need a whole new team. They need a new speaker. They need new everything. Sweep them out. Throw the trash out right now.
I would agree with that.
And,
can I just make one point though? I think that when somebody accuses you of something so outrageous and so disgusting as being called a pedophile, there's a human instinct to ignore it because it feels like what's the old expression? If you get in the mud, if you fight with a pig, both of you are going to get muddy. You want to rise above it, but Adolph is right. This has reached the point. I mean, first it was, they called you, soft on criminals, then it escalates. I don't understand. I can't think of anything worse particularly to call a mother of a young child a pedophile or a groomer. And at some point you have to say, bitch, you take that shit back or we're going to step to something. And
as I say, over the years, when we've seen the Democrats being extremely soft, we've seen some of the comedians are the ones who are the voice. We had Al Franken going after Newt Gingrich. We've had Jon Stewart. Now we have, Colbert, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Kimmel are the ones. They are really the strongest voices of the Democrats. They're the ones that are going after these people, attacking them. And you're not really seeing, I mean, who's really the leadership here? And even on Capitol Hill.
How sad is that when you got to rely on goddamn comedians? Okay. I mean, really, exactly. I mean, we got to rely on comedians to fight back, for what's right in this country or, to make things right in this country, turn the tables.
So here's the question I got for you, Mike, and for you, Leon. I mean, why is this not libel per se? And why is this not something that is actionable?
Because there's probably, Adolph might be able to answer this better than us. There might be some legislative immunity involved. I don't know. I mean,
there's actual malice. I think you can show actual. You have to show actual malice. I think.
I'm a criminal lawyer. I don't do any civil work. But if she came to me,
well, I do. And if she was on the floor of the, I think, crazy woman who's the vile speaker in this thing. I think she's a member of the House, the Michigan House.
Yep.
Once again, the House. It's like.
Okay.
Well, you gotta go run them out.
If this was outside the purview, oh, there's no question. But you know what? The gal about whom this was said, ended up having a tremendous international forum to call out this idiot. And really what she did is help to promote her because it went viral, her response.
But she might not be in office because this redistricting commission pitted her against Marshall Bullard of Detroit, So both of them got to run against each other, two Democrats. So somebody's going to lose. See, we slept at the wheel. Democrats knew all this shit was coming and did nothing. Did nothing. We have no control over none of these places where the Republicans not only control it, but they do their own thing. And here we are looking at Whitmer, Benson, and Netzel. Oh, and then we got the three women up there. But what else do we have? Republicans control everything else, and when it's said and done, and when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, we got a 1931 law that's going to kick in here in Michigan, and here we are. Go back to the Stone Age. We're going back to the Stone Age. Jim Crow all over again. This is what the Republican Party is doing.
That's right.
Yeah, I think Leon, from what I read, the accusations were made in a campaign, like a fundraising flyer.
Yeah,
they weren't.
It was an email, it was a fundraising email.
On the floor of the Capitol. So it seems as though that.
You know what? It may be actionable, but because she is a public figure, as Nancy correctly pointed out, you would have to, if you filed a lawsuit, prove the element of actual malice, which I agree. You had somebody like Mike or myself, a good trial lawyer on the side of the plaintiff, you could probably get a jury to agree that aspect, actual malice, is proven. Whether or not she wants to spend her time and energy going after, somebody as insignificant as her is a personal choice she would have to make.
Yeah.
Well, Republicans been doing this a long time, even to their own, when they accused John McCain of having a black kid.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
There's no question. They've been doing this, and they continue to do this. They know how to push the buttons.
Well,
when Jesse Helms thought he was going to lose his Senate seat against Harold Ford, he brought a white woman in. And basically told voters, this guy loves white women. Listen, they've been doing it. They're good at it. And the Democrats, it's like, man, we don't know what to do. We can't respond. We can't force Ruth Ginsburg to retire. Why not? Obama, he had a shot. He would nominate a black woman because I'm the president for everybody. Republicans get in there. They throw their agenda on the table and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to appoint incompetent judges, incompetent justices to the Supreme Court. They're going to run our agenda right there legally. And that's what they do.
I don't think that's fair, Adolph. I think that after the Willie Horton thing, I thought taking a ride around in a tank was a perfectly good response.
Right.
I don't know what you were watching, but
what we said here in Detroit, Willie Horton is our hero. He's not a criminal.
Saeed, right. Mike Dukakis actually was troubled by that image. And
I remember
for many years, he said it triggered a depression. It was sort of symbolic of what many people thought was the folly of his entire campaign.
And what else about the caucus? When they asked him, would you let Willie Horton out early if he had raped your wife? So you know what picture they painted. They painted the big boogeyman, the big black monster that raped white women. And he couldn't answer the question. He could not answer the question.
I remember running into him at the Michigan Union. I was studying there. This is back when I was in college, and he turned the corner because back in '88, everybody was coming down there. Jesse Jackson and Gephardt and Dukakis, and he just came up to me to shake my hand, and I just realized, I'm like, dude, I'm not the world's tallest person, but you're shorter than me. It ain't happening. It's just not happening. So,
Saeed, I thought you had the air of somebody who represented the Block M. There it is.
There you go.
I got a charity degree from them in '74.
Wonderful. Well, I was going to say that maybe McMorrow should get Johnny Depp's lawyer because that lawsuit is mercifully almost over. But there are a couple of trial dates that are now on the docket here in Michigan, and that has to do with the Crumbleys. It looks like they're setting a date for, I think, Ethan Crumbleys in May, and the parents October the 24th. There were efforts to try to lower the bond for the parents and for Ethan, trying to have him transferred back to juvenile hall. None of these were successful, but there's a possibility that a change in venue motion filed for any of the defendants could succeed. Do you think that the case will be moved out of Oakland County, and should it be moved out of Oakland County? Allan?
I say, and these guys know better. I say change of venues are so tough to get. Maybe
It ain't gonna happen.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen.
No, I agree with Mike.
Listen, after we finished the Kilpatrick case, I had to go to trial with Bobby Ferguson. Almost within months after the verdict came down in the Kilpatrick case, and on his gun cases, and I filed a motion for change of venue to move it to a different federal district, and we brought in like a stack of articles and things that were from the floor to the ceiling, and it had absolutely no impact on the judge. And as it turned out, I got a not guilty in that case. So, but I'm just telling you, it ain't going to happen. I'll bet anyone.
What about importing a jury from somewhere else?
No. That's not an option.
They don't do that.
They don't do that?
That's not within the procedure. It's very hard to get a change of venue. Remember, it's not only the accused's right to a fair trial that plays into a motion for a change of venue, but it is the victims and the people, in quotes,
and the
right
community.
to a fair trial as well. And the victims of the tragedy out in Oxford have a right to have the case judged, at least initially in the county where it happened, by a jury of fellow Oakland County residents.
That's right.
It's of little moment. If he goes to trial, it's a type of case where the widespread publicity about the case, not just all over Michigan, but nationwide, would permeate any county to which it would be transferred. So,
well, I can see where you see an old Western movie where the judge say, "Can y'all retire to for the verdict?" And they just sit there and say, "No, we already reached the verdict.
Yeah.
They don't have to leave. They're guilty."
Yeah, the foreman of the jury stands up with a rope and says, "Judge, we're ready to act right now."
I say from
Go ahead,
covering.
Allan, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From covering the federal courthouse in Detroit for 8 years, I saw one change of venue, and it had to do with the police sting case and involved Coleman Young's brother-in-law or common-law brother-in-law and one other defendant, and they moved the case to Flint. And I thought it was a big mistake because I think they probably would have had a better jury in Detroit. It already had been a hung jury for the two. I think they would have had a better chance. They were convicted in Flint.
Well, and in '67, they moved the cops that killed the 3 young black men in the Algiers Motel. They moved that trial to Mason, Michigan, and ensure that they got the kind of verdict that they wanted. So you don't hardly ever see that, because I thought that the Grand Rapids case should have been moved someplace else. I could have told them that they wasn't going to find those guys guilty.
So you're feeling pretty good about getting a conviction on Ethan, but what about the involuntary manslaughter prospects for a conviction for the parents?
Whew. Boy, ask a lawyer.
Well, I've got, as Mike has, I have many criminal jury trials as a defense lawyer under my belt. 46 years, about 320 trials. I believe that the elements that the government has charged, the elements of the crimes charged, can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And then you add to it the emotional aspect of this crime. I mean, you know that your son is mentally troubled. You know it. And the government is going to be able to lay out this pattern basically of negligence on the part of the parents, some of which are communicated by this poor kid. I say poor kid because he was a sick kid. You know, he acted out in a vile way. I'm not excusing that at all, but he was telling his friends, my parents won't listen to me. I'm hearing these voices. So they know he was a troubled young man. What do? They go out and buy him a piece.
Right.
And then I think the crucial aspect that the prosecutor will be able to put.
Oh, well. All right.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Okay.
We may be having a. Wait, I want to screenshot this because that's actually that's
Okay.
choice.
Mike.
Well, what about
How about Rataj?
what about another lawsuit coming up dealing with the Olympia Entertainment Company and longtime employee Al Sabatka?
This is mine. Okay.
Yeah,
because
I'll give this to you.
I've known Al Sabatka since when I played for the Junior Wings at the Olympia in 1976. I coached Little Caesars U18 team from 2000 to 2012 at Joe Louis. I've known Al, since I was 17 years old. Okay, and I've talked to Al, and he's devastated. I can tell you that, and I grew up playing in the Little Caesars organization as a kid. And I can tell you that Mr. Illich is rolling around in his grave because his son, Chris, is a punk of the highest order. All the Illich kids.
100%.
Okay. I know the family. We used to go have pizza parties at Mr. Illich's home back in the 70s when we were
What
kids.
type of pizza?
Pizza.
They didn't have hot and readies.
They brought in buddies.
Domino's buddies? Come on.
Al is devastated by this. And to treat a guy who's worked for this organization for 51 years, you got to remember, Al started out with the Red Wings in 1971 when he was a teenager, and he used to sweep the floors, and we used to have, he'd pay us a couple of bucks when we were teenagers to help him, clean up. I mean, this guy is he's part of the Red Wings, and to treat him like Chris Illich has treated him is fucking criminal.
It's terrible. Mike, I know your answer, but what is your take on that guy who turned him in?
Well, the thing about it is that he was this is the guy that Al was supposed to be grooming because, Al had the right to leave on his own terms. And he had told the powers that be that he'd like to work for a couple more years. And they said, well, start grooming somebody to take over. And this is the asshole that turned him in. So, Chris Illich is a punk, okay? And I can guarantee you that his father is rolling around in his grave right now. And
in his large mausoleum.
He's he's the youngest of the family. He doesn't give a fuck about the Tigers. He doesn't give a fuck about the Red Wings. He only cares about the money. He only cares about that his wife can go to Somerset with a $20,000 a month stipend and spend whatever she wants. It's like let them eat cake kind of mentality. And,
so just a bit of background on this. Al Sabatka, longtime working for the employee for the Red Wings, Zamboni driver, was summarily...
More than the Zamboni driver. He runs that rink, okay? He runs every aspect of that rink, just like he did at Joe Louis. Just like at the end of at the Olympia. This guy is more than, he's not just a Zamboni driver, okay?
No, he was the general manager of the entire facility.
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, Chris Illich is lucky that he had a PhD. Otherwise, he wouldn't be working. PhD, Papa has dough.
Right. That's right. Look, he had a big, Denise Illich was basically running the organization. These are the years that I was coaching over there. And, she got into a beef with her father over this kid. And then she walked away from it,
Over Chris?
Yes.
Over Chris? Okay.
Yes.
Listen, there was a hot dog truck a few years ago in front of Olympia, the Fox Theater. They were selling hot dogs, and the owner said that somebody from the Illiches came there and said, "You got to give us a cut of your profits,
of course,
or you can't park there."
That's the way
They shaking down a hot dog truck. That's how greedy they are.
You don't even let their alumni, because I skated with the alumni in the Belfour rink, and he don't even give the alumni free parking over there. Can you imagine that? Don't even give all the wings like Mickey and Joey Coaster and Larry Murphy and all these guys. I mean, he doesn't get free parking. I mean, can you imagine this?
When I was 12 years old, my older brother campaigned a stock car at the local circle track, a hobby stocker, and I spent a lot of time in his garage. He liked to give me little chores to do. And I think from that age, I had probably seen at least a dozen guys peeing in the corner of the garage into a drain. Because,
hey, I could tell you, I peed at the Joe Louis and the great on the Zamboni many times. Okay,
when I first heard that it was for public urination, I thought he was out on Woodward Avenue doing it on the sidewalk.
Goes into the sewage drain. When
he's doing it in a drain in the garage. It's like, give me a break. That is ridiculous. But
it's a joke.
So, Mike,
and to embarrass the man, I mean, of course, should not discipline at all. He should quietly said, Al, maybe a little more discretion, but whatever. Is to just discredit this guy and embarrass him after so many years of devoted service is deplorable.
Right. Well, he's got the right lawyer for this.
Like I told you,
takes him to the clean.
The old man going around.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike, you remember in the Marine Corps in boot camp, and when you went and told on another recruit, the drill instructors beat your ass for telling on them.
That's right.
That's why I want to hear that. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So everybody got punished.
Mike, where do you see this going then?
It's just it makes me sick because I've met with Al. We all love Al. All of us guys that have been in that grew up in Detroit in the hockey world. And do
you think they'll take him back?
Well, I mean, Deborah Gordon. Apparently, I heard her on TV the other day, and I have no doubt what she's saying is that she tried to call up the family and said, "Look, why don't you just take the guy back?" And they didn't even respond to her. That's how fucked up they are.
Write a check.
I mean, there's certainly some monopolies in sports around here, and right across.
Look, Chris Elliott. Look, he was one of the 4 owners that didn't want to pay, increase the luxury tax, and so to cancel baseball this year. Okay, he's a piece of shit. Okay, he's a spoiled little punk. Okay, end of story.
What? He was born at home plate and think he hit a home run, huh?
Yeah, whatever, man.
Well,
I mean, I know
exactly.
The older, I know fuck this kid.
And speaking of which, I mean, there's a possibility that Miggy might have his 3,000th hit today. So let's go ahead and see that happening. And just another piece of good news for sports here in Detroit. It looks like Detroit FC defeated a Major League Soccer team, Columbus.
Yeah, I saw that.
There you go with that. Looks like we're
Go Rouge.
There we go. Yeah. So we've come to that time of the show. This should be really interesting. Hit it, Allan.
Right, and because I'm dealing with schmucks all my life, I know who a schmuck is, and I know the difference between a real schmuck, a plain schmuck, and just a plain regular schmuck.
For those of you keeping track, yes, we are changing our Schmuck of the Week intro.
They Deli in West Bloomfield with Jackie Mason for 3 hours. Good story.
Oh, really?
There you go. Leon, why don't I start with you? Who's your Schmuck of the Week?
My Schmuck of the millennium will remain my Schmuck of the Week for as long as it takes until he's not, and that's Vladimir Putin. All I know is that he is a modern-day murderer, the likes of Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler, and he will remain my schmuck of the millennium probably till I take my last breath.
There you go.
Well, just to let you know, I mean, not trying to disagree with you, but it's still a young millennium. So Anyways,
Yeah,
Adolph.
that's true.
My
I've
schmuck
cut
of
out
the
a
week.
lot of bad stuff from my diet, so I may be around for a long time.
All right. Adolph.
My schmuck of the week is the Detroit City Council. This marijuana ordinance is bullshit. It's bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And once again, the people of Detroit have been fucked.
Why?
And then we're going to give 100 licenses. We already know that 50 of them already cut a deal with somebody up there on council. So it's some bullshit, and they need to take the cap off of that marijuana stuff. People went to jail for 10, 20, 30 years selling marijuana, and now that it's legal, they're going to be shut out. Gets nothing out of it, and city council been playing footsies with whoever. Okay, so we got 100. That's bullshit. We got 2,000 liquor stores. We got 150 churches on every fucking corner. So what if they have a marijuana shop on every block? If it's bringing in money and it's hiring people, so be it.
Well, in Missouri, they seem to have solved this problem. 500 pounds of marijuana fell out of the back of a truck on a highway. So
there you go.
Talk about roadside commerce there. Nancy.
I'm going with kind of a nebulous one. The entirety of the entertainment division at Fox Television, from the president of the division down to the lowliest production assistant running around with a clipboard, for the insane charade of seeing Rudy Giuliani on The Masked Singer, which is this ridiculous show to begin with. It's like, honestly, that made me feel more than anything else that's happened this week, including the DeSantis Disney thing, that this country is over. I mean, when we're letting people who are essentially it was either Leon or Mike called them, unconvicted felons, be caper around on a stupid entertainment show like Dancing with the Stars or The Masked Singer, like it's all just some big joke and we're all in on it, is so dispiriting to me. And honestly, I can see, this is for the first time, I can see like Nance living the rest of her life in someplace like Portugal or Canada or Mexico even.
Portugal's beautiful.
Good
one.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I think Nancy Edward Gibbon would have said that the decline began of the empire with Sarah Palin being on the show, but
Sarah Palin, for all of her flaws, did not try to overthrow an election. She just got some really bad plastic surgery, which we're going to see a lot more of now that she's running for Congress. So.
All right, Mike, who's your schmuck?
Well, I'm going to follow my brother Mango, and I'm going to keep it local. I'm going to just follow up on the thing with Al Sabaka. I love Al Sabaka. He's an awesome guy. He's a dear friend. And so my schmuck of the week is Chris Illich for being the little bitch that he is.
Right. Pithy, to the point. Excellent.
Yeah.
Alan.
Right on.
I've got Kevin McCarthy. Just what's come out that, him and Mitch McConnell, both of them, the double, were both saying, oh my God, if this isn't impeachable after January 6th, what is? And then slowly they lose their backbone again, as they have the whole time. It's disgraceful, Nixon would have never been pushed out of the presidency in this environment, where anything goes as long as you're of the right stripe. It's disgusting that there's no integrity there. So.
Well, McCarthy railed against the New York Times, and then he was denying it. He said this is fake news, until Rachel Maddow reminded the world with an audio recording showing that, yes, McCarthy actually did say that. Well, Alan, you actually took this is why I always have a backup schmuck. So I was looking at Kevin McCarthy there, but my schmuck of the week, like Nancy, is unnamed, and that is the passenger on a JetBlue flight from San Francisco to Fort Lauderdale, sitting in first class, had at the beginning a friendly conversation with another first class passenger by the name of Mike Tyson. Seemed to be going well until this individual, who now it turns out was drunk, starts to harass Mike, and then also tosses a water bottle in his direction, trying to get his attention for a selfie. And Mike Tyson, mercifully, did not go Evander Holyfield on his ear, but did give him a pretty good pounding. Luckily, Mike was not then arrested for it or charged with anything. And as though the schmuck really was doing this out of his own desire to be a social media presence. So, yes, unnamed passenger, you're my schmuck of the week. But I also we do have a dial-in schmuck from Marilyn Katz-Hansen. For her, it is Tucker Carlson, yet another perennial schmuck on the show, for saying that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky should have his finances audited before the United States sends any financial aid to Ukraine for the war that they're fighting, lest that money be sent somewhere else. Thank you, Meryl, for reposting it.
That's a good one.
The very fact that the irony, as Meryl says, that here was Trump who withheld aid to Ukraine because of his prickliness that Zelensky was not going to investigate Joe Biden and Joe Biden. Shows you then how the hypocrisy that we've been talking about persists within, it seems, the GOP. So yes, Meryl, wanted to get your schmuck of the weekend. Well, I think we are at the end of our show, so I want to thank Adolph Mongo, Leon, Mike Rataj, Nancy Marriage, and of course, Allan Lengel with the last word.
Drive home safely.
Great. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks,
be well. Be well.
Appreciate it. Leon, take care.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get vaccinated?
Because I am pregnant and we wanted to protect our baby boy.
To keep my family members healthy and traveling the world.
Why did you get vaccinated?
I believe in the science.
I want a happy, healthy world. Protect my friends and help our community.
Be able to hug my mom again. Haven't been able to hug her in over a year.
I want to hug my grandma again.
This was a dose of hope.
And I'm ready to get back to somewhat normal.
Get the vaccine.